Hello, here we are at Graham Russell Drums. We're back talking about the marvellous Bill Bruford yard sale, which is very close to going live. We're looking at mid-October. We showed you some of this gear last week, and if you want to wander over this way, we have somebody actually browsing the gear as we speak. Introduce yourself, sir.
Hello, everyone.
Mr. Bruford is in the house.
I can't believe he's nicked all my gear and he's going to sell it. I can't believe it. Graham.
Bill's popped in to see us very kindly. He's a very busy man. But he's popped in just to have a little chat about some of this gear, and we've had so much interest in this gear. It's been phenomenal. And I just mentioned to Bill, I actually had an email yesterday from Danny Carey from Tool, who wants the
Danny who?
Danny Carey. Have you heard of him?
Oh, Danny Carey. Yeah, all right, I've heard of him.
So
Hi,
yes.
Danny.
Yeah, Danny, if you're watching, Bill says hi.
Hi.
And if you buy the drums, you have to come and collect them in person and do a little performance while you're here, please. So, hi, Danny. Yeah, we're getting so much interest in your equipment.
Great.
Did you ever imagine that your old gear would get so much interest?
No, you don't think about that sort of thing at all when you're playing. It's only when you're downsizing and you've got nowhere to put the stuff. You come to Graham Russell Drums and hope for the best.
You hope for the best,
try
indeed.
to persuade you to take some stuff in, which is great, and give it a good home.
Well, we'll give it a good home because you've got a lot of fans out there that are pestering me to know when it's going on sale. And the great thing about your equipment is it's so unusual. It's not a standard rock kit.
True. I never did standard.
No.
I always approached which instruments to use. Let the music dictate to me what instruments to use rather than say, this is my kit, I'm going to impose it on the music.
Right.
The music would tell me it needed some boobams and a gong tom, or it needed a gong and a gong tom, or it needed electronics here, or something like that. So my kit and choice of instruments was always in permanent state of fluctuation.
Yeah.
Which is kind of very irritating. Very irritating for a road manager.
I bet.
But it felt like the music was changing, I was changing, the kit was changing all the time.
Yeah.
And it was all lots of oddities.
Obviously, we've got the posted percussion rack over here, which is obviously quite fantastic. I don't know if you can see that, Jack. I'm going to wander over this way. The percussion rack here. So is this something you'd have... Did you have this for a long period of time? Was this a lot of projects?
I did. I mean, I don't know when it was around. It was certainly used all over my recent work with Michael Borschlapp, which was an improvising piano and drums duo.
Okay.
But we're going way back into the early 80s with Earthworks. It's on Earthworks' first album, a track called My Heart Declares a Holiday. Kind of the music breaks down and there's a kind of... It was just within reach, and so I could sort of spin around a little bit physically from the drums and and then come around and use most of the instruments on there. So it's been used a lot.
So there you go. The actual percussion rack as used by Bill Bruford. You could buy this. This is one lot. So that's one lot. All the cymbals are going individually. The kits are going as one lot. That is one lot. I would recommend you come and collect that if you buy that, because I think that could be hard to ship. But we've got a vast array of Paiste cymbals. So I presume you were with Paiste for your whole career?
I was pretty much. When I was a kid, there were only two cymbals, really. There was Zildjian, and they were coming from the United States, and therefore very expensive for us British guys. And there was Paiste coming in from Switzerland, and they were more reasonable price, certainly. And for some reason, beginning the jazz ECM days and stuff, quite a few of the British drummers had Paiste. I think John Bonham had Paiste for a while.
Right.
Perhaps Cozy Powell had some Paiste. They were around a lot in the British community.
I went to John Heisman's studio and he had piles and piles.
John probably did.
Massive 602s.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes. And so I endorsed them for a while, and they gave me lots of prototypes.
Well, that was going to be one of my questions, because there are some prototypes in here. So did you have any input in the production of these, or do they just keep offering you fresh sounds, or do you tell them what you want?
A bit of both. There was only so they produce a cymbal, I'd try it and so forth and kind of like it, and then they take it away again and think, and with some comments from me, and say, oh well, we could change it here, there, and everywhere.
Right.
And after a while, me being away on the road a lot and so forth, you'd lose a bit of where their ear was, what they wanted to hear.
Right.
I loved the flat rides.
Yeah,
I thought they were great.
There's a few.
Again, a fair bit of that. I loved the big chinas, which were great, a sort of buttery, warm china sound.
Yeah, you got some lovely traditional chinas.
It was really good. But this is...
Tell us about this one, Bill.
Well, I used to have a very trashy cymbal,
right,
which was played on the album Red by King Crimson.
Okay.
On a track called One More Red Nightmare. I think, which got very famous. Not the track and not me, but the cymbal.
Right.
Became very famous because it was a trashy cymbal that was taken out of a trash can, literally, on the day of the recording session, day before in the rehearsal and then the recording.
You took
session.
a trashy cymbal out of a dustbin.
Yeah, it was bent up like an Australian hat.
Right.
A hat like that. It was bent up there to fit in the trash can.
Right.
So somebody got and jammed it in the trash can.
Okay.
And I hiked it out. Damn me, it didn't sound pretty. It sounded great.
Right.
You could get those kind of bright to muted, that kind of sound out of it. It was great. And I did actually say to Peisty, this is hot. Everybody wants this cymbal, because it was going crazy in terms of sales. The album was big and it was great. And they said, well, they weren't terribly interested in that. And then anyway, another guy said, I'll make you one. This person from Factory Metal.
Right.
I can't quite remember which country he's from. But he tried really hard, but it doesn't quite work. But it has got a good narrative story behind it.
And this is back in the 70s.
Yeah, it was in the 70s.
Because these days, trashy cymbals are very popular again. They're making very trashy cymbals.
Well, that's nice. But for a while, it wasn't really heard of.
No.
To make a trashy cymbal.
Right.
So that's a relatively new idea, partly because people like these industrial metal sounds.
Yeah.
And that album, Red, was all about being an industrial trashy metal group.
Yep.
So there we are.
So talking about King Crimson, I'd like to ask you, have you seen the recent shows with Gavin Harrison?
I have. Isn't Gavin Harrison is simply one of the best drummers in the world, and he's absolutely terrifying, I think.
He is terrifying, yes. And obviously he's got two other drummers as well.
He has.
So it's how do you feel when you watch a show like that, watching someone performing music that you were part of the creation of? Is it awkward? Is it uncomfortable?
Well, I'm not good at concerts. No, I fidget, and if it's terrible, I want to leave after 10 minutes.
Right.
And if it's brilliant, I want to play.
Right.
And I just don't really enjoy concerts. I'm dragged there by my wife on the whole.
Okay.
So I'm not a great consumer of other people's listening to other people. It rings too many bells and starts too much history going in my brain.
Right. Okay.
Because I do other things now.
Sure. But watching King Crimson, obviously, it's changed a lot. Obviously, they're playing the songs in a different way from how they were created.
Yes.
So that must be interesting, I guess.
Oh, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Musicologically, it's interesting, or from a musical critique point of view, it's interesting. Things are done differently these days.
Okay.
And that's great. I don't in any way think that inhibits or throws the original days into any kind of bad light. I'm not sure they're making it better. They're doing it differently.
Yep.
Which is fine and it's what you would expect.
And do you know Gavin?
I know Gavin quite well.
Do you?
Sure.
He's my favourite drummer on the planet. So.
Well, he's so good. Have you seen the one with on that show, David Letterman show?
Yeah.
It's fantastic, isn't it?
I've seen so much of Gavin.
Amazing.
Gavin,
the
if you're
Letterman
watching,
show. Oh.
Yeah, unbelievable.
There's 17 odd million people watching that.
Pressure. I was watching an interview with Gavin, and he said it's the biggest pressure thing he's ever done. That and the Modern Drummer Festival.
The Modern Drummer Festival is terrifying. I've done that too.
Because he said that is just so scary.
It is, because every drummer in the world is there and all great too.
Yeah.
So you have to have a different approach, I think.
Yeah. So yeah, big fan of Gavin. So hi, Gavin, if you're watching.
I think he's saying you can come down here, Gavin, and give a clinic if you want.
I don't think Gavin likes doing clinics anymore. He's a very busy man. But yes. So behind you, we have the iconic Star Classic Maple in the gorgeous yellow.
Yeah.
This colour scheme, is this something you came up with? Did you go to Tama and ask for that?
I did ask for that. It's true. I don't know why. Just yellow and black. It's
great.
Just a lovely colour. The canary yellow is terrific.
Yep.
I had also some Simmons pads.
There's one of there.
That were there in the same...
Do you want to grab that one quickly so they can see it?
That were in the same yellow and black kind of livery, and so the whole kit was looking yellow and black. And then, and this is hip, I would then be in yellow and black as well.
I've seen
so
the
I'm
picture.
this kind of humanoid working within all the drums. All the drums were one, and the human drummer is part of the kit.
Great.
It's that kind of feeling.
And you told me when I picked this gear up, you still got the jacket.
Still got the jacket.
Yeah.
Is it for sale?
I don't think it is it?
I've still got the jacket.
But this is the one pad. What happened to the rest of the pads?
Well, I had a lot of Simmons kit. There were two Simmons kits, pretty much identical. One stored in Tama. Bill Ryan at Tama in the US was very very good and stored a lot of King Crimson equipment. And one kit was there. Another one was here. I think the one here went back to Simmons, I think. The one in the United States was sold.
Right.
But, it's the difficult equipment now. It's outdated.
Sure.
The backup and support for that now is very difficult.
Yep.
So I did sell it to a collector who probably, I'm not sure what he's using it live.
Okay.
But I worked hard with it. It was not easy, but like all these things, I think if you get a dozen great tracks out of it, or even, an album or two out of something, and it really says something, and that album would not have existed without that particular set of percussion, in its form, then you've changed things.
Sure.
It's really nice to do that.
Yeah. Well, you were certainly one of the pioneers, weren't you, of that whole electronic percussion
What a
thing.
fool. What a fool. Being the first in is never necessarily a great place to be.
So go back to the yellow kit, which even has a gong drum, which is signed inside by Bill. I mean, whoever buys this kit is getting an absolute true one-off kit. So was this 80s, would you say? What projects would you have used this on?
No, this is 90s.
90s.
This is 90s.
Okay.
And we had a lot of King Crimson work in the mid-90s.
Right.
We toured the world a couple of times around, it seemed to me, because I got pretty dizzy. And this really did a lot of service then.
So did this whole kit go around the world? You weren't using any sort of hired backline?
No,
This
was in those days still, it was just about possible to fly your own kit around.
Okay.
And these days that's considered extravagant, because rental now is so good
that
you can go anywhere and get a good drum kit.
Right.
You're just not going to get yellow and black.
You're not going to get yellow and black, no. Okay.
So if it's part of the band's show, if you like, part of what the band is about, then it's nice to take it.
Fantastic.
So that one did a lot of miles.
Yeah.
And held up pretty well, and that says a lot for guys who put them in cases at the end of the night.
Sure, it's in great condition.
People who look after them,
Yeah.
These Tim Toms here, which are rather fun.
These are lovely. I've never seen these before. Were these built for you?
They were.
Do you requested them? Did you?
I did. I didn't design them. I think they already had Star Classic, highest achievement, blah blah blah. They already had them designed and probably available for other people, but they put them in the same colour to go with that kit.
Yeah, which is lovely. And did you play them alongside that kit, or did you use them sort of standalone?
I used them alongside that kit a little bit.
Right.
Not very much.
Okay.
Because they just came fairly late in the day.
Is this the very flat layout that you had
It's not involved in that.
No.
Not involved in that. By that time, I'd stripped down. The reason I'd stripped down, in part, was because I wanted to get a different order of toms.
Right.
Instead of going da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da bosh, which everybody does.
Yep.
I'd rather go da-da-da-da-bo-da-da-da-da-da-da bosh.
Yeah.
For example. So the pitch order that it's going to give you a different flavour. And it came also from percussionists. So I was at a PAS show, Percussive Art Society show, watching this classical timpanist from the Dutch orchestra, Concertgebouw Orchestra. And he's got 5 timps, 2, 3, 1 in the dead centre, 4 and 5. And he's just swinging so beautifully from the hips like this, with no sweat at all, boom, 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 boom. It's just like that. I thought, I've got to do that.
Right.
That's a lovely flavour for a drum kit. And that's what you get when you go to a Percussive Art Society convention.
Yeah.
You see some guy doing something differently from another genre or another set of techniques, and you could say, I could borrow that. I could incorporate that in the drum kit.
And did that change your playing, or did it change the way in which you...
It changed my playing partly, and what instrument comes up under what stick at what time.
Yeah.
So there's 2 chords here, cymbal and drum, cymbal and drum, cymbal and drum, cymbal and drum. So there's 4 of those pairs of instruments, and you start thinking about them as chords, as pairs. You see what I mean? You start thinking about the instrument just a bit differently.
Right.
But then I've always thought about the instrument differently every time I sit down, and because I've never played a regular drum set, I don't think. Well, not since I was a kid.
Okay.
So things change, yeah.
And did you purposely go down the path of sort of being unconventional? You don't strike me as somebody that's content to sit and play 4/4 for very long.
I don't think musicians say, I'm going to be unconventional. I'm going to say, how can I contribute here?
Yeah.
Well, if John Bonham does that, and he's got that covered,
yeah,
I'll try something else. What is it that he doesn't do?
Yeah.
How can I how can I bring difference? How can I bring my character, my personality to the music? How can I shape the thing myself the way I want?
Yeah.
That's hard now to do because music is very, very curtailed. So if you listen to BBC Radio 6 or something, many of the drummers are doing very similar stuff on very similar sounding instruments.
Yeah.
But in my day, with some of the groups we had, we were able to branch out, as you can tell. We were able to branch out a bit.
Yeah.
And the manufacturers were willing to help, which was lovely.
But certainly in the way you play and compose is certainly always pushing the envelope, being, even with the electronics, you were at the forefront of
trying to
push things forward all the time.
I thought that's what you were paying me to do.
Right.
That's what I thought my job was,
Fantastic.
Simple. Call me old-fashioned.
That's fantastic. No, I love it. So behind you over here, we have a black Tamarant Star kit, which probably is 80s, I think. Do you have much history for this kit?
That looks like an 80s.
Yeah. This was obviously before this one.
Wow.
If you don't worry.
Well, it's going back. This is early Earthworks.
Okay.
It's before that. It's early Earthworks. It's kind of a rock drum kit. It's before I even begin to think about jazz and jazz sounds and smaller drums. And this is still able to shift this stuff around. I used this a lot with Patrick Moraz.
Right.
We had a duo called Moraz Bruford, and we did a lot of improvising. We just take one piano and one drum kit.
Okay.
And we didn't take a piano. The piano was supplied.
Yeah.
So we just had one kit, and that one went around the world a fair bit doing music for piano and drums, as we called it. We didn't want to be rock. We didn't want to be jazz. We played music for piano and drums.
And funny enough, earlier on you said last night you were with Pete Lockett.
I was.
And he was doing some music with the pianist.
Indeed. Well, a keyboard player.
Keyboard player.
Very much on the electronic looping now. Of course, looping is so great. So they use that a lot, and they use a lot of electronic sound.
Okay.
But a lot of guys in this who are, obviously not looking for hit records, and want to give full expression to their creative instincts, find a duo with a keyboard player is a lovely way to go.
Yeah.
Because you can influence the music so much. You can respond. There's no clash of pitch. And I did that a fair bit with Patrick Moraz. I also did it with a Dutch pianist called Michael Borslap. We went around the world doing that stuff as well, just improvising piano and drums. And Pete's doing it now with John Peter Vitesse, who's a great keyboard player. So that's where that came from anyway, towards the end of the 70s, 80s, certainly.
There's not many snare drums here. So I presume you must have cupboards and cupboards of snare drums at home.
No.
That you didn't show me.
No, I'm not really a collector of drums, funnily enough. I don't quite know why not many snares. It's rather a nice one there.
The one metal snare, which is lovely.
It's a Bell Bronson.
And there's one with this, and there's one with the Star Classic.
Right there.
But no, a lot of pro drummers have, a fair
few.
True.
There is one.
Obviously, you had a signature snare for a while, didn't you?
One you.
The time
I do. So why
signature.
didn't I give you a signature snare?
I don't know. It wasn't in your garage.
Well, it's in my room at home, which is, I'm using it. It's one that I'm keeping. I do have three.
You can't only have one, surely.
I have 3 snare drums at home.
Okay, that's good.
A signature and a prototype, which is very nice.
Yep.
And something else, but I can't remember. Oh yes, I also have the early Ludwig snare drum that was kind
400.
of chrome snare drum that was used on Roundabout and the early Yes material.
Yeah.
Which kind of hit music.
Would you have been using that when you played with Genesis? Because on Seconds Out.
Yes, I think so.
Because on Seconds Out, you play on Cinema Show, which is remarkable. When did you last listen to that?
It's been a while.
It's fantastic. It's the greatest track. Kids at home, listen to Cinema Show on Seconds Out. Bill Bruford's snare sound. It's a 400 cranked up with a real honk to it. It's the greatest snare sound. And listen to the playing. Honestly, I love that performance.
It's a good performance.
I'd love to talk to you more about Genesis, but I don't know if we have time. But that was just a 4-piece kit in those days, wasn't it? Like a Ludwig with a 400.
Yeah. But also, I'd just come from King Crimson, I think. So I did have a side rack of sort of metal plates and things and percussion.
Right. Okay.
That I could use. If Phil was busy doing straight stuff, I could use percussion. Oh. That happened also with percussion racks. I also had electronic percussion racks with Simmons pads on them.
Yeah.
taken from that idea of having a percussion rack of acoustic instruments,
Yeah.
I took that idea and built a percussion rack fairly big with about 12 Simmons pads on
Yeah.
it, which I used a lot with Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman, Howe,
Yeah.
which was a kind of Yes offshoot in 1989, 91.
That was very visual. I remember seeing pictures.
Very
of that. It
visual
looked
because you could stand
striking.
like this.
Yeah.
And if you're in the back of a stadium, you know, and there's 20,000 people looking at you, you turn your back on them, you can point out the sound. You see, boing, boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom, and the viewer can see what you're doing. I'm very conscious of
visuals.
performing to a viewer. Yeah,
Yeah.
because my style is naturally economical. I tend to do this a lot. I tend to do that a lot. I don't do knights, bush in white satin, bush.
Yeah.
Diddy bush, dum dum dum. I don't wave my arms about. And a couple of times people have said from the back of the room, "Oi, you, Bruford," because they call me Bruford. They forget the R
Right.
in the state. "Oh, Bruford, do something, man. Do something, Bruford." So, rather than do knights in white satin, I'd probably play some percussion up here on electronic rack,
Okay.
I'm working as hard as I can do.
Yeah,
What do you want me to
you're busy.
do? I'm busy.
Fantastic. You did mention this here, which is obviously unique.
Yeah.
Which you think was on a dressing room door.
It was different. A dressing room door, definitely.
You said it might have been at Red Rocks.
Well, it's made in Redwood City, CA. I have a feeling it was on certainly a dressing room door in one of the Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman, Howe shows.
Okay.
It could have been San Francisco. It might have been Red Rocks. I
Fantastic.
think so.
And yes, this is for sale as well. You can buy this. You could put this on your
And this is lot number 072.
072.
Lot 072, folks.
And you
Put
mentioned
it on your
brief-
wall upside down like that.
upside down. You mentioned playing Red Rocks to me just now, which is somewhere I've always dreamed of playing and never will.
Beautiful.
Just tell us what it's like to play at Red Rocks.
Oh, with the sun going down.
Yeah.
And the rocks, let me tell you, they are red. I mean, it
And
really...
you can see this from the stage. obviously.
Absolutely, and it's just a heavenly view as the sun goes down, and,
Yeah.
it's darkening. I mean, you can't wish for more beautiful places to play, like Red Rocks. You know, the stage is covered. First 4,000 or 5,000 people are covered, and then there's probably another 12,000 people picnicking and out there, and it's kind of in a bowl surrounded by sort of rocks. And I remember playing along and seeing, as the sun went down, a mounted cop.
Right.
You know, doing security just on his horse, just kind of plodding along round the perimeter of the rocks. It's
Whilst
beautiful.
you're playing.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, may have had a partner somewhere, I don't know, but lovely.
Fantastic. So you also spent a lot of time in America.
Yeah, most of my career was in the States, for sure.
Yeah.
Sure, it was, we made more money in the States. So, England always got a short shrift because one view says you've got to pay to play here, as it were, because, we weren't so big.
Yeah.
But by the same token, if you're going to put the band anywhere for 24 hours, you tend to put it in the more profitable places.
Yeah.
We went to Japan an awful lot in the 80s to about 95. They had a financial crash.
You're right.
But I went sometimes once or twice a year, I think, with the Simmons thing through the 80s and into the 90s. But the States was the big one.
Yeah. And
Thank you, America.
That's good. So going back to this lot, you've got this big old flight case here.
Yep.
We've got a big old cymbal case. We've got lots of, even if you haven't got a huge budget, the Bill Bruford yard sale auction has something for everyone. We've got little cymbal cases and these stenciled cases, and we've
How
got
about a Yamaha DX7?
we have got a Yamaha keyboard in there. Yes,
I
indeed.
used to trigger those sounds in early MIDI.
Right. Okay.
Early days of MIDI.
Yep.
I took a whole keyboard. I didn't realize it came in a rack module. And of course, things came in a rack module. Life is so much better now, guys. I got to tell you, it's a whole lot easier.
Yeah. So
Some lovely speakers.
lovely speakers.
Things.
And you have so many 602 heavy bells.
Yeah, but they're all pitched, so
Yeah.
you were able to get great shimmering sound. I mean, Gavin uses
He uses bells. yes.
the bell. It's a beautiful sound.
Yep. Fantastic. And we've got some gongs, and we've got the original boxes for the yellow kit as well.
You have, and some.
I can see a lot of this stuff going to America. I can see a lot of people shipping this across the ocean to get to
And there's
them.
a very nice amp rack there.
I've not even shown Jack that. Jack's all about amps and keyboards.
Is he?
He's very into recording.
Great, Jack.
He's got his own studio. And the
Celestians.
Sleishman double pedal.
Yeah,
Did you play much double pedal?
I did for a little while. A lot
Did
of
you?
people don't know it. Why? Because the left foot was an electronic bass drum.
Right.
And the right foot was a kick. But the electronic bass drum would often be playing a trashy metal sound.
Right.
So you could go baduksh, baduksh, or bukshtu, 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 you know, those kind of figures.
Right. Okay.
So a lot of people say, oh, there's only one bass drum going on. There was only one bass drum.
Right.
But the left one was producing metallic sounds often. So for a bit I did, yeah.
Okay.
But I'm really not a double bass drum guy. I think there's probably the whole thing about is not really my thing.
No. I guess that to be the case. So obviously you still have a kit at home.
I do.
Do you find yourself on it?
I have a
much?
little noodle.
Yeah.
And then I think, I really am losing the fluency.
Right.
I've got some really fancy licks that I can play you, and I've got some really simple stuff that I'm not very good at.
Right.
But the thing that you need above all is fluency, the ability to join ideas together fluently, I think. And so joining those together to make a fluent sentence, such as hopefully the one I am producing right now, is not so easy for me anymore. Because I haven't played for 10 years, for crying out loud.
Sure.
You know.
And obviously prior to that, you were travelling all over the world continually and very busy. Is there any element of it that you missed? You missed the travel? Do you not like the travel?
I've got to say now, Graham, I'm not a traveller.
No?
No.
That's probably the wrong choice of career, though. A successful musician.
Well, I don't want to travel anymore.
Right. So you're done with travelling.
Done with travelling. And anyway, it's a particularly good time to have done with travelling since there ain't any travelling going on.
That's true. And the playing, do you miss the vibe of playing a concert and the excitement?
Of course you miss particularly the camaraderie of other musicians. Because I think whenever you get on a stage with almost anybody and you play a concert to no matter how many people, you bond with them, And sometimes it's somebody you've only met that afternoon.
Sure.
But at the end of it, the two of you have had a little experience together.
Yeah.
And it's nice. And he'll always remember that other person or she, and you will remember them. Because you looked an audience in the eye and faced it down and delivered the goods. God damn it.
Yeah. And how about sort of playing stadiums back in the day? Do you miss that? That must be so exciting, the adrenaline of playing those big shows.
Yeah. Yeah, it really was. It really was exciting. I think my favourite period really was the King Crimson of the 80s. That is 1980 to 84, perhaps. There were 4 albums around the time, maybe 3 albums. A red one, a yellow one, and a blue one.
Yep.
And I think that period there where it was Simmons electronic stuff was getting really interesting. And we had Adrian Belew as our front man, who was very good. Tony Levin on bass, who everybody wants. Yeah. And stick bass. And they'd invented the Roland guitar synthesizer and the Chapman stick and Simmons electronic drums. And we were really changing the sound of what a rock group could sound like.
Yep.
For example, the guitarists didn't use chords on the whole.
Right.
They played single line running figures that were interlocked. So there was a kind of airy sound to the fabric to the music, a bit like a string vest.
Yeah.
See what I mean? Rather than power chords.
Yeah.
On the whole were avoided.
Mm-hmm.
So being vaguely creative at all in music requires making choices about what not to do, what to leave out. Yeah. And that applies entirely on drum kits too.
Yeah.
What not to do is every bit as important as what to do. Is this a clinic or what?
No, it's just a little chat. But people are interested.
You're getting me going now.
Yeah. So we are selling all this stuff, as you know. We're currently cataloguing it, photographing it. It's going to be going live on eBay, and we will be doing a newsletter so that everybody knows. That's unique, isn't it? You haven't got many of those with a Z on them.
I have not. You mean a K?
Well, a Zildjian B.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Indeed, I haven't.
Yeah.
That's a nice symbol too. Look, I made a mess of it by sticking it.
This one is my favourite.
Oh,
I want to bid on this one. This is a traditionals. I think I played this last week for you few people. I absolutely love this cymbal. It just sounds fantastic.
Very, very, very big and buttery now.
Yeah, that's a lovely one. I think, we're all going to be bidding on this kit. So So there we have it. The Bill Bruford yard sale is going live in about 3 weeks' time.
Unless I change my mind and we cancel the whole
Yeah,
damn thing.
you seem like you're quite nostalgic
I'm
about some
beginning
of
to
this
get
gear.
excited about all this.
So what would your wife say if you took it all home?
Don't ask me that.
No.
So get out of here.
So, yeah, if you've got any questions, email in. If you're not on our newsletter, on our mailing list, sign up on our website. So we're sending out newsletters about the auctions. If you've got any questions about any of the gear, email in. If I can't answer it, I'll forward it to Bill, and Bill can answer it for you. There'll be pictures and images on Instagram and Facebook as well. This video will be going on YouTube, so if you follow us on YouTube and Instagram, you'll keep up to date with the progress of the sales. Thank you so much for coming in.
Well, thank you,
It's an
Graham, for
absolute
taking the contents of my drum room.
It's my pleasure.
Give me a whole Bill Bruford corner.
Yes,
I promise this will be gone in about 3 weeks' time.
it's going to be gone. It's all going to Danny Carey as well.
Bless him. Bless him.
So yes, Bill Bruford, thank you for everything. Thank you for your music. Thank you for your gear. Thank
My
you
pleasure.
for your time. And yeah, that's it, kids. It's all for sale. Get your pennies out and bid away.
Good luck, guys.
See you soon. Bye.